天南第一狂修所留遗址，对于我等元婴修士来说，都是难得的造化。
诸位道友，出发吧。听着有点不太对劲，神识都不好使，肉眼还能瞧出什么？看看我的定心盘吧。
这沙尘似乎没那么简单。
Marquis Nanlong's mention of heading to the Molang steppe immediately caused the surrounding nascent soul cultivators to change expression. That land was infamous for its danger. Although the Mulan spellcasters possessed few magic treasures, their cultivation techniques and geomantic arts were in no way inferior to cultivators, and they were adept at coordinated group combat. Once discovered, even if one kept their life retreating intact, was nearly impossible. Marquis Nanlong admitted that the spellcasters were difficult to deal with, but this time he had a greater goal. When he mentioned the name Immortal Master Shangkun, the mad cultivator who had shaken both righteous and devilish factions of the southern heavenly region 5,000 years ago, everyone was shocked. According to Marquis Nanlong and the white-robed elder, Shangkun had not perished in the siege back then, but had feigned death and escaped, severely wounded afterwards. He went into seclusion and later mysteriously vanished within Devilfall Valley, and even survived long enough to walk out of that place, something nearly impossible. The two had already located the final meditation abode where Shangkun eventually passed into sitting death, but its entrance was sealed by the Tai Divine Restriction, one of the 10 great ancient prohibitions. They had researched it for many years, yet still could not break through it. Thus they summoned 8 cultivators with powerful divine sense to join forces and undo the seal. Finally, Marquis Nanlong stated the condition outright if they succeeded in opening the abode. He and the white-robed elder would each pick one item first. The remaining treasures would be divided evenly among everyone else. Everyone accepted Marquis Nanlong's terms without protest, as the initiators allowing him and the white-robed elder first choice was reasonable. To avoid complications, they did not wait for the trade fair to end but agreed to depart 2 days later, each of them even swearing an oath to keep the matter secret. Hanley could see clearly that the two of them were not afraid of anyone trying to seize things from them, for both the location of the abode and the method to break the restriction were in their hands. Moreover, their cultivation and scheming were not to be underestimated. But Hanley still agreed, for he had long been stuck at the bottleneck of early nascent soul stage. Lacking suitable medicinal pills, his progress in the Azure origin sword art was slow. Even if he secluded himself in his cave residence for several centuries, he might still not reach mid-nascent soul stage. He had originally planned to cultivate in closed-door meditation for 100 years before searching for ancient cultivator ruins, and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. How could he possibly miss such a heaven-sent opportunity tied to Devilfall Valley? The other early nascent soul cultivators shared similar intentions. All of them had been trapped at their bottlenecks for a long time, and upon hearing of the treasures and techniques left behind in Devilfall Valley, the remnants of top devil cultivators who had perished together, they were all moved. Hanley alone harbored a hidden killing intent if the opportunity arose along the way. He would absolutely not spare the young master of the Ghost Spirit sect. As long as he avoided Wang Tiangu's detection, the target would not escape his grasp. Meanwhile, on another street, Wang Tiangu was instructing Wang Chan and Yan Ruyan to recount clearly all grievances with Han Li and not stray too far from him later, to guard against a sudden ambush. Knowing that Han Li's cultivation advanced like the wind, Wang Chan was still unwilling, but Wang Tiangu coldly reassured him. With the power of the blood spirit arts, the couple were equivalent to cultivators, who had just formed a nascent soul and need not overly fear. Han Li caution alone would suffice. Even so, when the name of ancestor Linghu of Huangfeng Valley, possibly related to Han Li, came up, a faint unease lingered in Wang Tiangu's heart. After returning to his lodging, Han Li rested for one night. The next day he went out, briefly gathered all necessary materials, instructed Mu Peeling, and asked Lu Luo to escort her back. Seeing Han Li abandon the trade fair to depart early, Lu Luo was astonished but did not question him, which increased Han Li's favor for him. On the final day, Han Li merely meditated quietly in his pavilion, adjusting his state. At the appointed time, Han Li left Tiantian City alone, and arrived at a small mountain 1,000 li to the south. There, Marquis Nanlong, the white-robed elder, and several others were already waiting. Today, Marquis Nanlong had cast aside his purple robe, instead donning a light yellow scholar's outfit. After 2 to 3 hours, everyone arrived in turn. The trio from the Ghost Spirit sect under Wang Tiangu came last, making Han Li furrow his brows slightly. At Marquis Nanlong's single command, depart the 9 of them silently left the mountain, heading toward the Molang steppe. From Yue Nation to the Molang steppe, They had to cross the Nine Nations Alliance and a vast wilderness spanning thousands of li. The region was whipped by yellow sand and harsh winds, its vegetation sparse. It had long been a battlefield of life and death between cultivators and spellcasters, with corpses piling up through countless generations. It was already extremely perilous under normal circumstances, and even more so due to the constant killings, some for plunder, some seeking life through death, some risking everything to break through bottlenecks. Foundation establishment cultivators roamed everywhere, and occasionally even core formation battles erupted, forcing low-level rogue cultivators to avoid the area entirely. Yet in the eyes of old nascent soul monsters like Marquis Nanlong, this place was hardly worth concern. The group flew in formation. Marquis Nanlong and the white-robed elder took the lead, while Wang Tiangu and his two followers guarded the rear. Hanley and the others spread out in the middle. Along the way, even when they encountered a few low-level cultivators, they simply soared silently overhead without paying them any mind. Half an hour into their flight through the wilderness, the white-robed elder suddenly stopped, his expression turning solemn. He said that an abnormal gale was blowing toward them. Hearing this, Marquis Nanlong immediately released his divine sense to probe ahead, and Han Li's group all simultaneously sent their divine sense forward. In just a moment, expressions of suspicion appeared on every face. The elderly woman let out a cold conclusion. This gale is absolutely not a normal wind. There is definitely a problem. The instant Han Li released his divine sense, he sensed a world-engulfing yellow wind sweeping in a raging tempest, reaching hundreds of zhang high. Sand and gravel surging like a demonic dragon breaking out of its prison, killing intent permeating every inch. He was secretly shocked. Even so, his divine sense was nearly as strong as a late nascent soul cultivator's, so even at a distance of 100 li, he could sense it clearly. As the great evolution technique circulated, his divine sense probed into the sandstorm. Yet it was immediately obscured. He could perceive only within a range of about 10 zhang, and the deeper he probed, the thicker the veil of mist-like interference became. The old man surnamed Yu also withdrew her divine sense, her face darkening. Marquis Nanlong spoke at once. That's right, this is the Red Dust 10,000 Gale, a wind spirit art of the Molung spellcasters. It specializes in obscuring divine sense, using violent winds and golden sand as a defensive mantle extremely difficult to deal with. But the range this time is far too vast. It's incredibly strange. At the words Molung spellcasters, all the cultivators immediately changed of expression. The white-robed elder added, "With such power, there are definitely several spellcasters inside whose cultivation matches our own." The old woman was shocked, but Wang Tiangu only sneered. After more than 100 years of ceasefire, Molung Nation had fully recovered. It was only natural for them to restart the war. Marquis Nanlong sighed helplessly. They were unfortunate to have encountered the enemy vanguard directly. The group quickly discussed countermeasures. The white-robed elder proposed two options: return and wait for another opportunity. Though gathering nascent soul cultivators again would be nearly impossible. Sneak around from the side, avoiding the center of the wind array, and take a wide detour toward the Molung steppe. Everyone chose the second option. Before leaving, they also sent sound transmission talismans to the Nine Nations Alliance to warn them of the coming war. The 9 cultivators immediately suppressed their auras and concealed themselves as they silently circled away. Wang Tiangu even activated a large protective light barrier to shield Wang Chan and Yan Ruyan. Hanley merely curled his lip. How could their movements remain hidden from his divine sense? The sandstorm grew ever closer. Massive wind pillars swept past one after another, and faint silhouettes could be seen within spellcasters in concealment. Fortunately, they were not discovered. Just as the group was about to bypass the storm's heart, Marquis Nanlong suddenly transmitted, "Not good. There's a disturbance to the side." Hanley turned his head and his expression instantly darkened. A massive wind pillar, nearly 100 zhang wide and reaching so high its peak could not be seen, was hurtling straight toward them. With a pillar of such magnitude, the spellcaster inside was definitely no ordinary figure. Everyone's nerves stretched taut like bowstrings. Yet the pillar merely brushed past them without reaction. Marquis Nanlong quietly let out a breath of relief. The sandstorm surged downward, sealing their surroundings on all sides. Divine sense was severely restricted. Even so, they maintained their spacing and continued forward. Suddenly, Han Li halted in midair. The group stopped as well. The old woman frowned and asked, "Fellow Taoist, Han, why did you stop?" Han Li replied calmly, "Do none of you find it strange? A sandstorm of this scale. Yet not a single spellcaster has come near us. The scenery around us is also repeating itself. This should be obvious enough to all of you." The dark-skinned man blanched. We've entered a concealed restriction array. He immediately released his divine sense to probe his surroundings. Marquis Nanlong spoke gravely. That's correct. We've been discovered. The enemy is using a grand formation to surround us. It seems we won't be avoiding a battle this time. Upon Han Li's reminder, the other cultivators immediately understood. The Molan spellcasters only dared to erect a restriction, to entrap them instead of mounting a direct assault. This proved that no high-rank spellcaster was present in the vicinity. However, if they were allowed to stall for time until reinforcements arrived, that would spell disaster. No one hesitated any longer. The old woman and several others instantly unleashed their divine abilities, rays of light shooting in all directions as they jointly attacked the restriction. Han Li lifted his hand lightly, and 3 streaks of azure light turned into sword radiance, slashing straight toward the wall of golden sand. The layer of restriction immediately surfaced like rippling water before being easily torn apart. Though everyone was slightly astonished at how quickly it broke, Han Li had already shot out like a streak of blue wind. The other old monsters, half a beat slower, followed right behind. Once out of the restriction, though the sandstorm remained blinding, its oppressive force had vanished. Han Li was about to send out his divine sense to scout when he suddenly halted, staring at a peculiar patch of suspended golden sand. A strange azure glow flickered within his eyes. Marquis Nanlong caught up, and seeing Han Li stop, asked in confusion. Han Li calmly replied that he was simply considering the route ahead, unwilling to trust mere eyesight. Marquis Nanlong immediately took out a mystical astrolabe treasure and activated it. Golden crimson light bloomed from the disk, forming a mysterious diagram that seemed to contain sun, moon, and stars. After examining it, he put the treasure away and spoke only one sentence. "Follow this, Marquise." The group immediately followed him. Wang Tiangu enveloped Wang Chan and Yan Ruyan in a sheath of black light, and coldly swept past Han Li. Wang Chan did not dare meet his gaze, and Yan Ruyan only shook her head faintly. Han Li merely smirked and turned into a streak of azure light. Before leaving, he glanced back at the spot with a peculiar and icy expression. The moment he vanished, golden light suddenly flickered at that place. A spatial black fissure opened, and from it crawled out an enormous demonic insect, 6 zhang long. 4 zhang wide, its triangular head covered in golden lumps and twitching feelers, its fangs glinting coldly, and 4 silver wings on its back vibrating incessantly. Standing atop its back were 3 Molan spellcasters, one shrouded in dazzling white light, one hazily veiled in green mist, and the last wreathed in arcs of blue lightning. The one radiating white light asked anxiously, "Great High Priest, is it truly fine to simply let them leave like this?" The spellcaster within the green mist replied coldly, "With just an illusion formation, you think we can trap several nascent soul cultivators? Ridiculous. Not taking action is the correct choice. If they were to counterattack, our Huangsha tribe could not withstand it." When a subordinate suggested using their tribe's sacred artifact, the demon formation banner, the great high priest rebuked him sternly. A sacred artifact was only to be employed in moments of extinction. It could not be used lightly. If it were damaged or lost due to backlash, the entire tribe would suffer calamity. He then mocked the Tianfeng tribe and the Mu high priest, the ones who had sent the plea for aid, clearly intending to use the Huangsha tribe as expendable cannon fodder while reaping the benefits afterward. The lightning-wreathed spellcaster offered a calm assessment if the Tianfeng tribe managed to mobilize the wind-commanding chariot in time. They might be able to catch up to those cultivators. But the great high priest shook his head. To gather enough manpower and set out, I fear they won't make it in time. Finally, his expression grew grave. "There is one thing that concerns me, the cultivator who broke the formation first. He seemed to detect the position of the 2D worm. 2 mid-nascent soul experts didn't notice it, yet an early nascent soul cultivator did. That man is absolutely extraordinary. Either he cultivates a unique technique, or he possesses some ancient probing treasure." A deep look of suspicion lingered on his face.